Alright, DVW fam, we're on our next stop on this Spanish road trip in this quaint little cozy town called Oviedo. It's in Asturias, and in Asturias they have different culture, even a different language and different Spanish foods. So we're gonna get some fabada, so some Asturian foods. Really excited, hungry. First meal of the day, let's do it. Alright, let's go. Muchas gracias. Alright, DVW fam, so this is the Asturian tradition. They're known for their ciders here, and as you guys can see, our nice way to pour it from up high, they do that so the cider could get air before it gets into your cup, and apparently you're supposed to drink it almost right away, so let's try it out. Ooh, it's not like super sweet like cider back home. Not bitter either. You can really taste like the apples in it. It's very airy. You can taste like more of the alcohol, but it's not sweet. It tastes very natural. That's the word, natural. Oh, so our main dish is here, the fabada. This is the cecina right here. Alright, gonna try the fabada, what we came here for, guys. So, Javi said these beans are extra large and that you can't get them anywhere but here. He says like a beans and meats type of stew. It looks like they're sausages.
Yeah, that's chorizo.
Chorizo.
And that's morcilla.
Morcilla, which
Blood sausage.
blood sausage. Okay, like a blood clot sausage.
That's similar to bacon.
Okay, so like similar to bacon. Is there tripe? So it's mostly pork in here.
Yeah.
Like a pork bean stew. So let's try the beans by itself. Salud. Oh, it's nice and steaming hot. The stone pot, you can taste like the stone pot is cooking on. Really homey, comforting, like an oil base. Not too spicy. I thought it would be spicy because it's red, but it's very meaty. I think that oil is like the oil from all the pork because they really respect their pork here in Spain. But the beans is really, really soft and huge. Not like any beans I've tasted back home. They're really huge. Look at this. So this is a famous staple in Asturias, these beans right here. So let's get it with some of this pork. Ooh, this looks like a pork belly, right? Really tender, just fell apart. Let's try this out. Oh yeah. Really soft and comforting. Yeah, the main thing about this, like really porky and meaty. It's not too salty. Like all the flavor comes from all the pork that's thrown in the stew, but the beans are where it's at, guys. Really soft, huge. We're gonna have some Spanish bread chronicles on this tour because me and Javi, we have disagreements. He likes the Spanish hard bread. He said Spanish bread is supposed to be hard, and I actually don't like hard bread, but all of these breads we've had so far has been super crunchy and hard. It's hard to even break it apart. Let's dip it in this.
There you go. Try it.
I guess that's why it's hard, because when you dip it in the soup, it gets nice and moist for us. Let's try it out. Super crunchy. Definitely prefer softer bread. Try chorizo. So you want saltiness? That's where the salty pop comes from. The chorizo is always salty. Ooh, I'm gonna try this blood sausage right here. All right, I'm trying this for you guys. I normally don't really like blood sausage, but let's try this one out. It's not bad. I thought it would taste more pungent. It has like a fermented sour flavor. Pretty good flavor. It's like sour. DVW score for this dish. If you guys like pork, give it like 9.1 out of 10. If you don't like pork, I'm gonna like it 8.4, but I like my meats and it's like a really meaty, comforting, oily, fatty stew with beans, so I like it. Salud. This is an art, guys. Art of the poor. Muchas gracias. It's the art of the pour, guys. So when you run out of cider, you can't pour it yourself. He has to pour for you. He has to pour from all the way up top for the air. Salud. He's gonna have to be making frequent trips here because we're drinking all the cider they have here. Sometimes the aftertaste hits you after you've been trying like some of the dishes, but the fabada actually, it's growing on me now. It's a little bit more salty after you've taken a few bites, but with all that savory, like meaty, oily, salty taste, I can see why the cider is on the sour side, because after the fabada, you take a sip of the cider. The sourness just cuts through all the fattiness of the fabada, so it's kind of like a palate cleanser. And also, Javi was telling me that in Spain it's typical to get 2 portions whenever you eat, so that's good news for us. So we got the fabada and then more food coming up next. Oh yeah, so this is a special menu, so these are all the special recommended items in Asturias and in this restaurant here, so we're gonna order a little bit of everything. Alright, gonna try our next dish. It's the cecina, which is dried in the sun. So this is cecina. There's some Spanish olive oil on top, as you guys can see, but this is like another cured meat, nice and thin. It's popular in this area of Spain, Asturias. So let's try this out. Surprisingly, I like this a lot more than like some of the other cured meats I've had, like jamon, because this one's very lean, but also at the same time tender and salty with a nice crisp on the outside. But it's extremely salty, which is why they give us this bread to eat it with. I'm gonna be beefing with Javi this whole trip because I really don't like crunchy Spanish bread, but you need to eat bread with like salty cured meats like this, kind of like a charcuterie. I think they add the olive oil to make it more moist because, like I said, this is very, very lean, which I appreciate, but definitely the most salty Spanish cured meat I've had on this trip, so definitely need the bread with it. But I actually really like it with bread. Give us like an 8.8 out of 10. Cecina. Ooh, muchas gracias. Alright guys, so Asturias is in the north, near the sea, so their seafood is great. So we got this monkfish right here. It's a whole monkfish. You can even see the head. And it's called piscine here in the Asturian language. Ooh, there's a nice little crust on the outside right here. It's a little bit crispy. Let's try this out with no sauce. The skin is really salty. The inside, really tender. Fresh fish. You don't get like a fishy odor from it, but the crust is really salty. It's good. You can taste the grill on it. Slight natural sweetness from the fish, and it's a whole fresh monkfish too. Fire.
So if you notice around here, this is like an authentic spot in Asturias. This is not like made for tourism or like for a spectacle. So this is where the locals are eating, just a normal place. There were construction workers over there a while ago. You can see them in the video in the background. And like if you notice like this stuff and how they're pouring the cider, everything of this is like just authentic. That's just how they do it. They're not doing it for a show. It's just how it works. They're not trying to fool anyone.
Javi looks like he's really enjoying it. Guys, the more I'm eating this monkfish, I'm getting like huge grains of salt on the skin, and it's giving it that salty pop. But the key distinction, the main thing about this fish is that it is super fresh. Like I think that's the thing about Asturias, Javi was telling me, is a very rich, fertile farmlands and sea, so they have like a lot of produce. So they have like a lot of rich farm and sea culture here, so that's why like everything you're eating is just really fresh. So you don't even need to put too much seasoning, but there's huge grains of salt on here. And if it gets too salty, there's some lemon put on top of this. Yeah guys, fresh monkfish and really like meaty too, fleshy. A lot of fish on here. And so they have these huge potatoes for us. Let's try it out. Fresh potatoes, I feel like they just picked it out of their yard in the back. Let's try the beef. So speaking of Asturias, rich farmland too, they're also known for their beef, so let's try this. It's the beef in cabrales sauce, which is like a cheesy sauce, white sauce right here. Let's try it out. Oh, extremely tender, but fatty at the same time, but not too fatty where you have to chew it too much. And that cheesy sauce, it's like Alfredo-ish sauce. It's really good. I gotta steal his dish. I really like it. You know how I said everything in Asturias has to be fresh? So Javi recommended me to just get melon for dessert. Like I said, with any Spanish meal, we gotta end it with dessert. We've been doing that with all of our meals here in Spain, but Javi recommended me to get this melon, but his looks a lot better. He got the tata de queso cheesecake, but let's try this melon. Extremely crunchy, really fresh, very sweet, almost like candy. Really sweet, instead of like being super green like our melons. Their melons are kind of like greenish, whitish, but pretty good. So good that they serve it as desserts at restaurants here in Asturias. All right, gonna try our umpteenth cheesecake here in Spain. This one looks really good. I don't see a pie crust, so mostly all cheese. This is their version in Asturias. Let's try this out. Oh man, that's really good. Each region has their own version. I would say that this version doesn't have like a pie crust, but it's all cheese. It's basically super creamy, kind of like a condensed, coagulated ice cream. It's really cold, and there's a nice like raspberry jam jelly on the outside. Like I said, fertile farmlands here in Asturias, so all their jams here in Spain have been really good, really fresh. So that's the key word to this restaurant: fresh, everything fresh. Excuse me, they don't just serve melon. They're actually serving that right now because it's summer. So they serve the fruit of the season here in Asturias for dessert. So melon is the fruit of the season here. That's why it's so sweet and delicious. I've had many cheesecakes here in Spain, each one different. This one has to be one of my favorite. 10 out of 10 DVW score just for this cheesecake. Oof. It's all about the texture. Thick, creamy, not too sweet. Sweetness comes from the fresh jelly, jam. It just melts. Just finished our meal there, having a lot of fun trying all the regional foods of Spain, trying authentic Asturian food. Like I said, I think the main attribute of that place is like everything was just fresh. The lettuce, even the peppers were really fresh, the olive oil, everything feels like it's farm, homegrown. So yeah, DVW score for that whole place, I gave it like an 8.7 out of 10. My favorite things were the fabada and that meat, oof, that steak with that creamy cheese sauce was amazing, and the cheesecake. Vibes in here are really cool as well. Nice, cozy, homey restaurants, and the waiters are really friendly. Great spot to dine and wine. So yeah guys, on to more Spanish food adventures. Let's go.